Well, let's. This is what everyone wants. They want you to do your predictions. We can put out our own brackets if we want to. I don't even know if I'm going to do that this year because what's even the point? But maybe I will. The Ringer will probably ask me to tweet out a bracket, but I feel like we could just start with our Final Fours. If have you done this? Have you filled out your bracket, or are you still just marinating on it at this point?
I mean, I have some picks in mind here. I don't.
Okay.
I kind of feel like
I haven't written them in yet. You know what I mean? So I feel like this is, let's just say this is our gut reactions. These are not our actual predictions. This is just like, if right now, as I look at the bracket, as I just saw the selection show, as I'm sitting here at my desk, these are what I think the 4 teams will be and as we get to Houston. I think that's the best way to preface this, because I may wake up tomorrow and I might have a totally different bracket. I haven't written anything in. So I just want to say that as the caveat before we get started here.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first. Well, yeah, we'll start with you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like I'm going to change my mind. I don't know. I didn't. Obviously, and to be frank with you, man, I'm terrible at this. Everybody always asks me. They're, among my like friends, like my dorky hipster friends, I'm always just they're like, hey, who's gonna, what's your advice? Sorry to my friends that I called dorky and hipster just now, but. And I always just tell them, I'm like, dude, you'll get more right than I will because I'll overthink it. That's the way this always goes. But I have Alabama coming out. I have Marquette. And then I have Miami, which, that one could be wild. And then I have Kansas. And I actually have Kansas repeating as national champs this year.
Oof. I think that's a great choice. And as I kept looking at the bracket, I kept thinking to myself, it just feels inevitable that Kansas is going to do this again. And I'm trying, like I said, I haven't written it out because I don't want it to be the reality of the situation, but I'll run through it. I keep trying to talk myself out of Alabama making the Final Four, but it just feels inevitable. And I think that Alabama is going to play Arizona in the Elite Eight, and I think it's going to be a great game. And I think that Arizona is going to be up 6 points with like 3 minutes to go, and Kirk Kreese is going to have 2 of the dumbest turnovers in history, and Alabama is going to somehow get out of the South and actually make it to Houston and make it to the Final Four. So that's chalk. I think Alabama is going to do it, even though I will say this is not written in stone. I have not written this out. Maybe Arizona, I wake up tomorrow, because I feel like a West Coast team can do it. So Arizona maybe can talk me into it. But for now, Alabama, lock that in. As I looked at the East, I want it to be Purdue. I really do. I want Purdue to be able to kind of, get this monkey off their back, let everyone know they're actually one of the teams that you have to be reckoned with. And I still go back to the Carson Edwards game in 2019, and it just sticks in my brain because of how amazing he was and how both those teams, both Virginia and Purdue, it felt like they both deserved to go to the Final Four.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's some sort of weird karmic debt that is going to come back to Purdue. But I don't think it's going to happen this year. And I think coming out of the East, and I think a lot of people are not going to enjoy this. It hurts my heart to say, but I just feel so inevitable because of the way the season has gone. But I think Duke's coming out of the East. I do. I think Duke is a 5 seed is going to come out of the East.
I almost did it. I came close. I don't know.
I think they're going to beat Marquette. I think they're going to beat Marquette to go to the Final Four, and Shaka Smart is going to be left right there, and it's going to break my heart. And I hope I'm wrong. And maybe me saying this is my weird way to try to make sure it doesn't happen. I put it out in the universe, but I see the path. And if I'm John Shire, I am jumping up and down with excitement because I'm like, wow, we actually did this. Midwest is going to be chalk for me again. I think Houston's going to be in the Final Four. I think Houston's going to be in Houston. Sasser, the injury, I still has a question mark in my mind, but for whatever reason, I want Miami. I told you there's going to be one ACC team, so Miami's still the other one. So those are my 2 right now. It's Houston or Miami. I think that comes out of there. I can't get behind Texas. In fact, I think Colgate is a really bad matchup for Texas, so I had to leave them alone. But yeah, so Houston, Miami, they have my attention there. I'm gonna go with Houston. And then finally in the West, this is one that I racked my brain around with this for quite some time. And UCLA was a team I thought was going to win the national championship. I just want to say that 2 weeks ago, I was sitting on my couch and I was saying to myself, outside of Kansas, which I was fear of the repeat, UCLA was my team. And UCLA was my team because of one man. His name was Jalen Clark. And when Jalen Clark went down, it changed my whole scope with this UCLA team. I think they can still make it to Houston. I really do. I think they could win the West and get to Houston. But I think they're going to lose to Gonzaga on the way. I really do. And I think Gonzaga is going to be the team that gets there as a 3 seed. So that's going to be my Final Four. I think Gonzaga is going to beat Houston in the Final Four. They're going to go to the national championship game. And then I think Alabama is going to play Gonzaga in the national championship game. And I think, unfortunately, Alabama might win the national championship.
Is this kind of like a Billy Donovan, Florida type thing where we're just like, you think Nate Oates kicks the door down and joins the club where you get the bathrobe? It's sort of like the SNL host club. You get to go in the back.
And nobody wanted him in there. Like everyone, it's kind of like when you win a green jacket and all the guys, and they're like, really? This guy, Charles Schwartzel won the Masters. Now he's here with us,
It's kind of like Cal, honestly. I mean, that was the way it was. Yeah. Cal wanted to be the man, and then he became the man. That's kind of I could see it happening. And with all of the stuff off the court and everything with Alabama, I think it's the worst case scenario for college basketball, just as far as it can't even be a conversation about the basketball because it just can't, I mean, that because of the circumstances, it just can't. So I think if there is a world in which this happens and Alabama does end up being the national champions, it is going to leave a tough taste in a lot of people's mouths, and it's going to be a whole separate, larger conversation about college basketball. That is my fear with it. And if I know the NCAA, the old NCAA, it's kind of like, when people talk about the NBA, they're like the old David Stern NBA. The old NCAA would probably make sure that doesn't happen, and maybe they make sure that a team like, Arizona makes it out and actually does go to Houston instead of Alabama. But I can't see a team beating what I just saw in the SEC championship game. If they play that way and they play that connected and they play that high intensity on the defensive end, it really is hard. And they have 4 bigs that they can rotate in that are all legit. I mean, Bediako dominated that game, and he wasn't even the most valuable player for Alabama, right? I mean, there's people at home, they're like, I don't even know who Bediako is. It's like, the big guy in there that's absolutely dominating. And they have great rim protection. So I don't know. Bama is the team that really scares me. I for whatever reason, I can't get them out of my head. But again, this is not final brackets. We have time to change. We can always change the
course.
Right.
Yes, right. This is not set in stone. This is not locked in stone. I will say Jay Wright's Final Four, I thought his was fascinating. He had Alabama, Texas, Marquette, and Kansas. And that had my attention as well. I think that's a good Final Four. I would love to see Marquette in the Final Four. I really would. You and I both love Al McGuire, so if we could get some Al McGuire, if we get some Al McGuire conversation, I think we're all happy. Is there anything else, big picture, Kyle, before we get out of here? Because this has been the Selection Sunday special. Been a lot of fun.
Let's see. Other than the narratives, I think we hit on everything that I wanted to. Just be prepared for there's always the jokes. I think that's the other thing you kind of got to be ready for. There's going to be people who are parachuting in for the first time. We're going to get a lot of Grady Dick jokes. We're going to get, I wish people would stop, but I kind of wish we're going to get a lot of like firearm related jokes relating to Brandon Miller. Can we just stop with that?
Please.
Like, I've just seen those from people that I thought had better taste. Can we just stop with those?
It's not funny enough. You know what I mean? Like, there's some things that can be funny. Like Rick Pitino, 15 seconds is funny. Anytime that someone says something, you're just like, that's the line of funny. It's like, if you know, but it's not like it's not on its face, just absolutely egregious. And that's what that is. Yeah.
We don't like that. Totally. So that's the thing to watch. And so you got our characters. Maybe we can I can tweet out a little screenshot of the characters that we mentioned, or some kind of a guide. But no, man, I'm pumped. I'm pumped and jacked to watch this tournament.
Yeah, I'm fired up. It's March Madness. I actually feel like a sense of relief that I don't have to worry about North Carolina. I know you were talking about how, you can put on the fan face if you need to get hyped up or whatever, but you're kind of over it. I'm fully over it. I have been over it. I'm as over it as they are. They declined the NIT invitation. So there you go. I mean, that's where we are in the world of Carolina basketball. I'm happy not to have to deal with that. I'm happy to be able to watch these games, focus, talk about these teams. It's a lot of great teams. There's a lot of great storylines. There's a lot of paths to a national championship. I know that usually we say there's 8 to 10 teams. I asked Billis, he said there probably still is 8 to 10 teams, but you go around and talk to different people in college basketball, whether it's like a Fran Fraschilla, he said there's 20 teams that could win it, right? There's a lot of, it's funny how that works. If I ask Bill, he's like, probably about 13 teams, something like that. Everyone's got their number this year, which I appreciate. And, there's a lot of talented basketball teams. And I did see that if you are not a college basketball person, after the selection show, 60 Minutes had a whole story on the evolution of dogs. So if you need to go.
I heard that. I was like, oh, evolution of dogs. Man, I was curious to check it.
I was like, I guess I got to lock in on this, now that I don't have to worry about March Madness. There you go.
Really good programming. And it's horse shit, Tate. I mean, the moment that game starts, not the evolution of dogs. I've enjoyed that evolution. That's been great. I was going to say, no, it's horse shit. The moment that ball is tipped in that Kentucky game against Providence, I'm going to be a wreck. Right. I don't know if I don't know if we want to share where we're going to be watching some tournament games, but yeah, I don't know. I hope I get into it. It's fun to be into it. I don't want to be jaded. That's the living and dying and having a good time. I recover a lot faster though these days. I'll say. Yeah. I get over it a lot quicker.
But, that's how it has to be. You know what I mean? At some point, you just have to grow up and say, "Hey, it's just basketball. We'll move on." But deep down, you feel it. We all feel it. We all know how it feels. And Kyle, you'll be coming out to Los Angeles, so we're going to be watching the games in person. We're going to be doing live reaction shows right after the games wrap. So we'll be in Los Angeles. We'll be watching all these games just like the rest of you. We're going to figure out where we're going to be. We're going to be downtown LA, but we're going to figure out specifically where we're going to end up going. But that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about that. I love the reaction pods. I love being able to watch all these games and just just throw ideas, bounce off ideas. We'll both say to each other multiple times, unfortunately, that's game. That's how these things work. We know how it goes. And that's the beauty of it.
I love that we had that in common. That's one of the hallmark things of root for your team is like I'll pick a play in like the first half with like 10 minutes to go. I'll be like, that's the ball. That's the game right there.
That's ball game.
What are you talking?
That's
it. We're going to recover. That was it. I think that's one of the best parts of being a fan, honestly.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I hope everybody out there can enjoy the madness. And we will be back on Wednesday. We're going to have a tournament primer with a former national champion. That's the tease. He's going to come on and explain to us what it takes to actually go and win a championship. And then after that, again, every single night after the first round of games, myself, Kyle Mann, reacting to all the hottest, biggest storylines that come out of those games and beyond. This has been One Shining Podcast. We appreciate everyone listening, joining in, trying to dissect these brackets with us. We love it. It's the best time of the year. This is March Madness. This is One Shining Podcast, and we will see you on Wednesday.